One thing that doesn't change here in Cannes is the obsession with stardom, causing a stir even among the ultra-sophisticates of the French film world.
I'd say this ultimately became easier once everything settled down with our relationship with the studio, Warner Brothers, once they had settled down into this really impressive regime that they have now at the moment. It went relatively smoothly. Shooting movies, no matter what, they're always tough. But to have people working with you, all of us, our cast and crew, I mean, there's over 1,000 shooting crew on this. Everybody working well with common purpose and in a cohesive way makes a big difference. Then you can adjust to all the things that tend to happen, whether it's COVID or rain or all those millions of things that can go wrong. Uh, it can go very smoothly, and I'm very grateful that by and large we had a pretty smooth shoot compared to what we did on Fury Road. We were shooting with 3 units basically. The 2 principal units were the main unit, which which I was working on, and then Guy Norris, with whom I've been working with for 41 years. He started. Guy Norris is the second unit director, stunt coordinator, and he basically he and one of his sons devise a system that they call proxy, we call toy box, to actually work out that whole sequence virtually as previs, and not only work out where everybody was, but also work out where all the multiple cameras were at any given moment. They worked out a system to do that. While we were shooting main unit, he was, even before we started shooting main unit, he was shooting that in another part of Australia, a place called the Hay Plains, the flattest part of Australia, and he was shooting that. And nowadays we were able to get that uh, sent to us, and we were talking through that process, and bit by bit, because you can't rush these things, you've got to be very, very precise and very careful. That sequence was built up, and it took a huge amount of time to shoot to pull off those shots. But it was very, very, very well planned and beautifully executed. So that's how we end up with a sequence like that.
What's so impressive about working with George is these units are all running at the same time, and yet absolutely nothing is approved without George's complete fingerprints over all of it. So I did a lot of work on second unit, on Stowaway, and it's exceptional that the level of just how meticulous he is. You know, you can do 20 takes of something, and then George will see it and he'll be like, oh, it's perfect, but I need your helmet 1 inch higher on your head. It's that level of detail. And I wanted to give you that because it's very, very impressive. All characters come to me in a different way. And sometimes I feel like, oh, I've just experienced something. I can tell the story with a bit of hindsight. I'm still going to feel it, but I'll have a bit more space in between the characters' emotions and my own. With this, from the second that I read the script, I thought, okay, this is going to be real time. I'm going to have to experience these emotions, and then that's the truth that will come out on screen. Also, just by nature of how arduous this shooting schedule was, I was just very often alone. And she's a character that's very much in her head. She's very, very quiet. And so it felt like kind of everything around me was just something that pushed that sense of isolation. But to be fair, I think it's truthful to the character. And I did get into this experience wanting to be pushed. So I do think that there's an element of it that thrilled me.
Yeah, look, there was such a rich and wonderful script to pull from and be inspired from. And the first time I read the script was 2 years prior to shooting, so many discussions with George, and continually sort of exploring the scenes and the character. And I think we were both finding new things out about him through each scene that we were shooting. And um, look, there was something, I wanted there to be some humanity within him. I didn't want to see him as the villain. And I mean, like Anya's saying, you you become attached to the character whether you like it or not. Um, and the more and more time I spent within the sort of the Dementos world, I thought, oh look, he's a survivor. Actually, he's doing his best to make it through the next 24 hours, like anyone else is. And as brutal and harsh as his actions may be, well, he's a product of the wasteland. There's desperate times, and he's trying to protect his tribe. You know, this nomadic sort of group of bikers that he traveled with, you know, across the wasteland. But the character just allowed. There was so much sort of exuberance and flamboyance, and there was a busyness to him, which was a lovely contrast to the stillness of Furiosa, and she was trying to blend in, and he was trying to stand out, and so the sort of to and froing was so much fun, and you know, even through the sort of this press tour, I'm discovering things about the character, and I was just asking George a question earlier, like, was that what this line was about, or was that this? And then that's such a credit to your writing, is that just the detail, and you watch these films again and again and discover new things about them. So it was a lot of fun.
How does it compare with the Marvel film?
Oh, I mean, it's similar, like passion, you know, the sort of the love that you know, say Kevin Feige has for those films, and the enthusiasm and the depth of knowledge and the importance of it all is endless, you know, and it feels very familiar, you know, to have someone who is a constant sort of guide and reference point, and you know, there's nothing that's accidental that's on screen. As you speak to, everything it has a purpose or needs a purpose, and you'll discover it together, or it's there written in the pages. But similar, you know, to walk into a world that has a pre-existing franchise is a equal amount of excitement as well as fear. But both I find very important, and both very good motivators. And it was such a joy.
To my great surprise, I wasn't reading for the part. I had a Zoom meeting with George, which kind of came quite out the blue, and he, before I read the script, described the character, and so I felt very excited to read it. And then I think I read it the next day, and then we talked about it more.
But did he say to you, "You're going to play"?
Pretty much. I think there was a sort of week or two of like, is this happening? You know, certain people had to say okay. It was a slightly scary 2 weeks because I really wanted it then, you know.
We all have similar experiences as far as do we have the job or not?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're quite ambiguous. You're like, oh, hopefully we can work together. I'm like,
In your defense, you were very clear. It was you know, I want you to do this. It was just, you know, things had to be tied up.
I'm not sure. You mentioned that. I'm not sure. It's confusing me because with
Mhm.
all of you, it happened almost the moment that I saw you. The only time I'd seen a full film
Yeah.
with Edgar Wright's movie. The moment we had that conversation, you read the script, and the moment for you, someone, Nikki Barrett, the wonderful casting agent, gave us a list of actors. I think there might have been 20 people on the list, and I went. I think you were number 4 on the list, and the moment I got to your name, I didn't read the rest of the names.
Lucky number 4.
Because I saw you in Joe Hogg's movie Souvenir, in Mank, and I thought, oh, perfect. So it was the same with the three of you. There's kind of an intuitive leap. You're not even sure why you're doing it, but subsequently, when you talk to people and you get to work with them, you suddenly realize, the intuition was right.